Well, good morning. Today is Wednesday, November the 23rd. And in the United States of America, today is Wednesday before we celebrate Thanksgiving tomorrow. And as I was sitting with, okay, what would be a wonderful topic to share today? And of course, I always ask Jesus to give me an inspiration. It takes me to wherever I'm supposed to land in the book. And what was interesting is I had my fingers in the book and I could feel that there was like a specific section that my finger was in. And when I said, all right, Jesus, let me receive the inspiration, I opened it up where my finger was. And I read that and it was like, no, that's not it. That's just not it. So I closed the book again, moved my fingers out of the way and let it open to wherever I wanted to open. And boy, lo and behold, it was like, whoa, that feels like the best conversation we could possibly have today in this time of Thanksgiving in the United States. We are coming towards the end of a year and moving very quickly towards the end of an era, the old era, the era of the eagle ruling the world. You see, ever since humanity began, we began with the intention of extending God on earth, heaven on earth. We were created to be examples of what that love is all about, expressed in male, female, for the purpose of bringing the unity of masculine and feminine energy. For us to be able to experience the separate bodies, not to see them as separate as a bad thing, but to see them as separate as an opportunity for union, for coming into union. Community is to come into unity. However, from the beginning in the Garden of Eden, there was Adam and Eve. There was this two expressions of God specifically designed to come together, to love one another, so much so that they were not focused on the body. They didn't even wear clothes. There was no need for embarrassment. There was no need to be shy. There was only energy expressing itself for the purpose of enjoyment, enjoying one another. So what did Adam and Eve do? They were tempted. They were tempted by a serpent. The serpent is nothing more than a projection of the ego, the temptation to see ourselves as separate being a bad thing, to see the male as higher than the female, to believe in good and evil. To eat of the fruit of knowledge is to begin to know duality. Instead of knowing it internally that we are one and coming into unity and enjoying being these expressions of God in physical manifestation, we went into the head. We left the heart and we went into the knowledge of the head. We began to see with our eyes, our physical eyes, look at what was there and begin to interpret it, begin to make assumptions about it. And in doing so, we began to think that I can see that there's something separate from me. And we began to look at each other in that place of separation. And for thousands of years, humanity has been caught in this story of separation. And we have been passing it down generation after generation after generation, passing down the sins of the parents. Course in Miracles is really clear. To sin is to think wrongly. So when we see Father knows best, God knows best, politicians know best, the CEO knows best, the principal of the school knows best, typically have been male figures. When we see that kind of an archetype of Father knows best, well, what happens to everybody else? Women know less. And then, of course, children know even less. But that conditioning stays in the mind. So we have eaten of the fruit of the tree of knowledge. We know things in our head that have been blocking the knowing of the heart, have been blocking the knowing that is intuitive, that allows us to remember that God not only created us equal, but created us with the same desires to experience life, liberty, and to pursue happiness. So much so that that inspiration that came into us when we were created also came to many people throughout our journey as humans. Jesus told us that we were equal. Not only are we equal, but we are each one with God. I and the Father and Mother of God are one. So Jesus brought us the same message. The Buddha told us, no self, no individual self, no problem, because everything in mind has to be looked at. We've had so many who have over millennia helped us, guide us, give us information to help us question the beliefs in the mind, to get out of the head and come into the heart. So Course in Miracles has just been on this planet for about 50 some odd years, giving us the same message. God created us equal. And equal means that everybody here needs to understand the truth of who we are. We are not only free, our freedom comes from our awareness of who we are, because the truth sets us free. When you look at life, we have eternal life, and we know that we're eternal. We don't sweat the small stuff. We don't focus on the body, on what the body is all about. We're operating in total freedom to do what it is that we want to do. And in that freedom to do without the fear, because we know that we're eternal, we're not sweating the small stuff, we get to experience infinite happiness. The joy is there. Now, in our physical forms, we still have density. We still have this physical body vessel in this day and age, in the year 2022. The majority of the people really believe that we are bodies. Now, there's a lot of people, I'm going to say upwards of 20% on the planet, know that our bodies is not what we really are, know that we're made of energy. However, we still hold the beliefs, I know I do, that I have a physical body that is going to age, that is going to go through a specific process that has to do with density, that it could possibly get sick, that it could possibly experience issues that are only bodily issues, meaning in my head, I still believe that I am a body. While in my heart, I know that what I am is non-physical energy. So, but the body is what creates our reality, not what's in the heart. So the heart knows what is. Well, let me rephrase that. The heart is what creates the reality, but the mind can override your heart's desires, because your mind has to be in alignment with the heart. So first we train the mind. Course in Miracles is a course in mind training. I know a lot of Course in Miracles students, as a matter of fact, students of other traditions, that know truth in their head, but still are not operating from their heart. So the mind gets trained first. Once the mind is trained fully, then what begins to happen is the heart softens, the heart opens up. Then the heart's desires, which are always for the greater good of all, begin to expand, begin to come into our conscious awareness. And once we understand the truth of who we are from our heart, and we do nothing, absolutely nothing, unless it feels good, because the mind has been trained in knowing oneness, then all of a sudden, whatever we do is going to facilitate the co-creation of a new earth. And the people who vibe at that frequency, whose minds are clear about the truth of who we are, whose hearts have aligned with doing nothing but loving for the greater good of all, that those people connect. And when I say those people, those beings connect, because they have a frequency that draw to them like-minded, like-hearted people. And in that space, we don't need leaders. We have people who volunteer for positions that are all transparent, that everybody trusts one another. And when we operate that way, we operate in such trust, in such joy, in such generosity, because you know you're serving the greater good. And if you serve the greater good, it serves you, it serves your family. That's the world that we're moving to. But the world that is breaking down, the world that is being undone, the old era is the era of the error, where the ego mind thought that we were separate people, hierarchy. If somebody gets something, somebody loses something. That was all about lack. That created these ideas of I've got to, for me to win, you have to lose. It created competition. It created segregation, separation. It created all of the things that are not working, that are crumbling today. It created secret deals to make banks that control people, but yet the people are told that this is their bank, like the central banks. In the United States, we have this thing called a Federal Reserve. It's not federal because it's not part of the federal government, and it doesn't even have reserves, but they gave it a fancy name that our minds, being controlled by mind controllers, had us believe, oh yeah, this is our central bank, but it is not. Actually, if you look at the documents for the central bank, it's a private corporation, and it doesn't even list who owns it. Isn't that interesting? These are the things that are breaking down, because when there's no transparency, you can't have trust. So as people are becoming aware that this lie that have been told, that this is our central bank, and it's our Federal Reserve, and it's ours, and we're realizing, no, it's not ours. We pay it, but it's not ours. So how do we benefit from that? We actually don't. And those things coming into the light of our awareness, into the light of truth, are helping us see we're done with that era. We don't want to operate under the error of separation being a bad thing, where one benefits at the cost of another. We're done with the era where we have believed this error, this mistake, this sinning. Again, all that sinning means is we are thinking with the wrong mind. So our mind has to be trained with new information, and the new information releases the old information. But the release of the old information happens when we open our heart and extend only what we know is true. So if we know that it is true that transparency is better, we cannot release our old lies, our old stories, the things that we hold secret, until we begin to open up our heart and stop being afraid and let the truth come out. And you will welcome the truth because you know it's good for everybody. The lies only hurt the ego. The truth heals the heart. The truth allows us to come into unity, to come into the space where we truly know that we're one. Sorry about my voice. It seems like I'm catching maybe a little bit of a cold. So again, I have a body. I believe it sometimes can get sick, and there we go. It's giving me evidence of that. But on the other hand, I know I'm eternal. So I know that I'm having a temporary experience. And if the body gets sick, it gets sick. But that's not who I really am. What I am is non-physical consciousness that is not touched and affected by this at all. So I've got to make peace inside of myself with the idea that it is not my true self, my soul self, that is sick. It's my human persona. This part of me that thinks that it is separate is the one that is experiencing the density of the beliefs that I hold. So living in that knowingness that there are two me's, and it's just so beautiful. But the me that is eternal and is non-physical is actually not me. It's one with you. So it's pure oneness. So I'm resting more and more in the truth of our oneness, tapping into that God energy that Jesus was able to tap in, where healing happened. So I'm in that process for myself to fall deeper and deeper into that acceptance of the truth of who we are. And as I was opening up the course, and as I said, I opened it up where I knew, oh yes, this is what we're to say today, because I knew my finger was playing a role in deciding what I was going to be sharing. And once I knew, wait a second, no, that wasn't totally an impartial opening of the book. And I could feel it, because the minute I opened the page, it was like, oh no, this is not it. And I've never opened up anything in A Course in Miracles that to me wasn't amazing. So it was not that what I read was not amazing. It's that was not where I was supposed to be. And then I was guided to lesson 186. And lesson 186, the title of it is so beautiful. Salvation of the world depends on me. You know, when we look at A Course in Miracles and we see something like the word salvation, let me get a little sticky so that I don't lose my place as I read. Salvation of the world depends on me. The word salvation, unlike from the Bible, where salvation is, it's my job to rescue the world. It's my job to fix things and save everything. That's not what salvation means. Salvation in A Course in Miracles is the understanding that the world is spared of my judgment. So salvation of the world depends on me knowing the truth and no longer projecting lies on the rest of the world. So the world out there is saved by the shift that happens in me. I spare you my projections. I spare you my judgments. I spare you my untruths. So let me keep going, and we're going to read here in paragraph number 1. Let me read the title again. Salvation of the world depends on me. Paragraph 1, sentence 1. Here is the statement that will one day take all arrogance away from every mind. All right. The arrogance of the ego is that I get to punish you. I get to be the one that hurts you. I get to be the one in charge. I get to be the one that is at the top that knows better, including I get to be the victim that knows that you hurt me. That's arrogance, because arrogance comes from ignorance. When you don't know that you're one, then you become arrogant. I have been victimized in our righteousness, or I get to be the bully and I get to victimize you because you're supposed to do what I tell you to do because I'm above you, or whatever it might be. So that ignorance of our equality leads us to the arrogance of hierarchy. So here we are looking at what's going to take the arrogance away. Well, the only way to take the arrogance away is to not be ignorant anymore, to know the truth. Salvation of the world depends on me. I need to change what I am thinking, and then everything changes around me. So just as my ego got trained through knowledge, eating the fruit of knowledge of right and wrong, good and evil, up and down, duality, when I am ignorant of our oneness, I go into the duality, and then I go into arrogance. So here is a statement that will one day take all arrogance away from the mind. Once we recognize that all minds are joined, we're all made of the same thing. We're all God expressing itself individually in individuated aspects with these physical bodies, but all connected as oneness. Like a beautiful forest, it's all connected at the roots. We're all connected through the mind. The intelligence that goes through the roots to let the flowers, the trees know when to bloom, when to drop their leaves, that intelligence that comes from the roots, that is the mind of the tree. Well, our mind is our connection to truth, our connection to infinite intelligence. And when we operate from that knowingness that connects all of us, then each of us individually, each tree can shine beautifully, brightly, do what it does, express itself fully. When we all recognize that, well, of course, we're going to save the world, because we will stop projecting onto the world our dysfunctions, our insecurities, our need to have the world give us something to make us complete. That's ignorance of the truth of who we are, which makes us arrogant. Oh, well, I deserve to get this from you, or I can take this from you if you don't do what I want you to do. So saving the world means sparing the world of the lies that we have to make a decision we're not going to buy into anymore. Then the next sentence says, here is the thought of true humility, which holds no function as your own, but that which has been given to you. All right, let's start again. Salvation of the world depends on me. That's a function that was given to us. Our function is to be happy. When we are happy, we're not judging the world. When you are happy, being you, this is not ego happiness, which is looking for something. I'm happy when it's Friday and I get my paycheck. I'm happy when you propose to me and give me a ring and then marry me. I'm happy when you give me a promotion. I am happy when finally my kids grow up and leave the house. I am happy when I get my parents' inheritance. I am happy when I find a mate. I am happy when. That's not what we're talking about here. The happiness that allows us to experience the truth of who we are is the pure joy of being who we are, of knowing that we're eternal, so there's no fears, of experiencing total freedom to be ourselves because nobody's trying to control anybody else, that happiness is a joy that emanates from sharing what is coming through us. Nothing is happier for me. There are two things that are absolutely happy, pure, blissful for me. One is when I'm experiencing God speaking through me, when I'm experiencing truth taking over this body vessel like I do right now when I'm teaching, when I'm coaching. I mean, it's like this instant connection when two or more are gathered. Something takes over and uses this body vessel to share things that I hadn't thought about before, that I'm not planning, that I'm not plotting, that are just simply coming through me. And it's absolutely amazing because I can feel the frequency. I can feel the high vibes of the truth that is being shared through this body vessel. It's just so beautiful. And when I'm with my little grandchild, when I'm with Ryder and he is in his pure essence and he's just living in the now moment and he wants what he wants now and he wants to sit down, he sits. When he wants to play with the piano, he plays with the piano. When he's tired, he lets us know he's ready for his bottle. He wants to get in his bed. Everything happens in the now and you're just present. Your mind can be thinking about later on. Yes, a little bit of that happens. Oh, okay, when he takes his nap, I get to go take a shower. So there's a little bit about planning to the future, but hardly. Now, it can't be very far into the future because you don't know what this child is going to be doing in this now moment. So as it says here, salvation of the world depends on me. Here is the thought of true humility. Wow, I have so much power in me. So the world gets to be a beautiful place because I am beautiful inside, because I'm aligning with the truth of who I am, because I am accepting the function God gave me to be myself, living in this now moment, doing what brings me the most joy. And as I said, whether it's teaching or playing with my grandson or dancing with my beautiful dance community or hanging out with friends or making a Thanksgiving dinner and enjoying it with my children tomorrow, my sons, and whoever else chooses to participate, being with my beloveds, people that I absolutely adore, all of those things. In humility, I know that is the intention that the Creator had in creating us so that we could come here to extend that kind of love. Wow, it makes you so humble. Instead of that arrogance of the ego, that when we operate from lack, I don't have enough, I've got to get it from you. This is I am already whole and complete. I got to give it to you. Salvation of the world depends on me. I've got to give you my joy so that you don't feel threatened by me. I've got to give you my respect as my equal brother and sister in Christ so that you don't feel that I'm here trying to control you. I've got to be transparent and share everything with you so that you don't think that I'm holding secrets and I've got something that you don't know and therefore you can't quite trust me. We save the world when we show up authentically. And to be able to be authentic, you can't be arrogant, which means you've got to be humble. It's so absolutely beautiful when you put all these things together. Here is the thought of true humility, which holds no function as your own, but that which has been given to you. Course in Miracles tells us we have one function, and that's to be happy. God created us to be happy. And just like my little grandson, he is happy when he's moving from one thing to another to another. The only time he's not unhappy is when he's not getting his way. And it's so funny, because his way is typically to do something that is either dangerous, like pulling something, or climbing up the stairs when he's not supposed to, and he's brought down. And then he feels a loss of freedom, and that makes him not feel his happiness. But if he would not be feeling, oh my God, this is keeping me from something, he could still hold his happiness. But he is a human in a body, experiencing the lessons that have been handed down for eternity, eating of the tree of knowledge. It's right for you to go up the stairs when there's an adult with you. It's not right for you to go up the stairs when there's no supervision. And if you're trying to go up the stairs and we're not ready to go up the stairs, we're going to pull you down. He feels not free. He feels not happy. That's why life, liberty, and happiness go together. He's got the life. He's alive. He's eternal. but he's not free to do something he doesn't want. So he's going to throw a tantrum. So we understand that those things go together. That's why it's so brilliant that it was given to us in our founding documents in the United States, so that we'd understand the importance of that. And we're all equal because everybody feels the exact same thing. So you find your function is to be happy. You find the humility to recognize that there are stages to our lives. And going up the stairs by yourself when you're an 18-month-old baby, or trying to go outside when it's 9 degrees outside, especially if you don't have your appropriate gear on, those things are not appropriate. You're going to lose your freedom to do that because of the specific age, the specific stage of your life, not because people want to imprison you and say, you're never going to go outside. You're going to be in a jail for the rest of your life. And of course, that takes a level of physical liberty, but your mind is always free to choose to see things differently. And that's what we are being told. Salvation of the world depends on me, is to understand that your mind is always free to think whatever you want to think. And if you think with God, then you think, well, why would I want to lose my happiness? If I'm the creator of my reality, I'm not going to lose my happiness. Okay, you're telling me to come off the stairs for whatever reason. I'm going to stay happy and I'll redirect and do something else. It takes an incredible amount of humility that with a child that is learning to speak, then I listen to his mother and his father gently say, no, that's not good for you to go up the stairs by yourself. You're not quite big enough yet to do that totally, completely safely on your own. It still requires supervision, and we're in the kitchen. We can't be on the stairs with you. And they talk to him like an equal. It's just absolutely so beautiful. So then he goes on to say in sentence 3, this sentence, salvation of the world depends on me. It offers your acceptance of a part assigned to you without insisting on another role. When we recognize that we were assigned the salvation of the world through our humble acknowledgement of our wholeness, we don't need anything from the world. We cannot be made any bigger, brighter, more amazing. When I say bigger, not in size, but in grandeur, we cannot be made any more whole, complete than how God created us. So accept our part. We're already perfect and complete. Now let's release the world. Let's save the world from our judgments, from our projections of lack, our projections of need, of insecurity, of I don't have enough, I got to get it from you. You complete me. Thank you, Jerry Maguire movie. When we stop looking to the outer world to do things that is not their role. It's not their role to make us happy. It's not their role to make us rich. It's not their role to make us safe. We then begin to accept where all of that already lies. And then we ground ourselves in that being our reality without insisting that it be any other way. So, for example, when my little grandson insisting that he go up the stairs when his mommy and daddy lovingly are attempting to keep him safe, he is insisting, no, I want to go up. I want to have a different role in this moment. I want to be going up those stairs. So we are all having to learn from the time that we're itty bitty in a loving way that, yes, we're equal. My daughter and son-in-law, they don't speak to my grandbaby in baby talk. They talk to him like he's a human, like he is a soul that knows just as much as they do internally, but needs to have the guidance of the adult, of the human journey. So beautiful to watch. So we are shifting from the old parent knows best, father knows best. We are at the top of the pyramid, you're at the bottom, that hierarchy of who's right and who's wrong, moving away from that to a gentle helping everybody learn what's here. A process of assisting one another. Why? Because the salvation of the world depends on me. If we all treat each other from the get-go in the truth of reality, God's reality, not ego's reality with a little r, but God's reality, that we were designed to experience individuation, that our bodies are separate to experience individuation, that we're different because God is a creator, has infinite possibilities, infinite potentials, that everybody gets to be who they are, then there's no need to be at odds with one another. There is zero need for competition. There is only the desire for expansion, for extension, for expression. Then it keeps going. This is just such a beautiful section. Salvation of the world depends on me. It does not judge your proper role. It does not say the world's joy is on my shoulders. Oh, poor me. Not at all. It does not judge that they can't do it and it's my role. Not at all. It but acknowledges the will of God is done on earth as well as heaven. When everybody has accepted their magnificence, when all of us walk around knowing that we and the Father, Mother, God are one, when we've tapped into our Christ consciousness, when we've accessed our Buddha nature, when we're living from our loving self that doesn't need anything from anybody else, but enters into collaborative co-creations with others, we are literally going to be experiencing a new earth. It's really amazing. I recently, started the co-creation. Actually, it's with a group of people. We share some common ideas of how we see the new earth unfolding, and we've co-created this group called the New Earth Co-Creators. And it is a place that is a community where we're inviting like-minded people to share, and like-hearted, to share their ideas of how we make this new earth better, to share ideas of how we can collaborate in amazing ways. Everybody has talents, ideas, resources. We want to come together, bring people together in that co-creation. Everybody got to vote on the name. Everybody got to vote on the logo that was designed for the community. There are no leaders. It is strictly a community. And from that place, we're also including where we can help each other. There are platforms that allow us to help each other financially through gifting, where we give to one another, which is as ancient as time, because it's natural for us. The Course in Miracles taught me one of the characteristics of one who embodies truth, who operates, as the Course calls, a teacher of God, teaching the truth of God. One of the characteristics is generosity. When we have all of our needs met, everything that is extra, we want to share. Unlike the old era where you save it and you keep it for a rainy day because the mind is expecting a future that could possibly have problems, we're moving to a new era where there are no problems in the future because we're not placing them there. We're saving the world. The salvation of the world depends on me. I'm thinking thoughts that are in alignment with truth, in alignment with goodness, in alignment with expansion, with co-creation, with fullness, completeness. There's no lack there. So we, in this New Earth co-creation, we're all about sharing with one another. It's just so beautiful. And if you want to participate in the financial abundance sharing, you can do that, but you don't have to join the group for that. You don't have to join the community strictly for the abundance piece. You join the community because you want to share. You feel abundant and you want to be generous with your thoughts, with your ideas, with your talents, with your music, with your poetry, with your dance, with whatever it is that you feel that you want to offer. If you have new ideas about how to make the world a better place, bring them to the New Earth Co-Creators. If you have a new idea about how to run business, a conscious way of doing community, we're going to be exploring the ringing cedars of Russia, which is novels that were written, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, maybe, that speak to living in co-creation with nature, living in alignment with listening to what the trees, the messages of the trees. That's why it's called the ringing cedars. They ring a vibration, a frequency that when you're in these forests in Russia, where these cedars are, you can feel the resonance of the truth of who we are. And when you live from that space, the salvation of the world is absolutely an easy thing to do, because you're just being what you are, extending the frequency of the love that you know is who you are, is what all is. So you're generous with the gifting of your presence. It's just so, so beautiful. Sentence number 6 says, It unites all wills on earth in heaven's plan to save the world, restoring it to heaven's peace. The old era is crumbling because it has been hell. Hell is nothing more than operating from the ego's ideas of who we are, operating from the knowledge of good and evil, meaning we accept duality, we accept that evil exists, therefore it gets created. We make evil deeds all the time. When we lie, when we cheat, when we steal, when we think that we're not good enough, that's an evil thought against ourselves. When you know that God is only goodness, then there is no evil. You operating from goodness, extending love, being kind, generous, and everybody does the same thing, there will never be evil. Doesn't mean that we can't have evil thoughts, but when you know the truth of who you are, and your job is to save the world, you don't throw these evil thoughts, you don't project them out on others. You don't say you're evil. You say, I had an evil thought. Please hold me in compassion and forgiveness for this evil thought that I just had, but I don't have to believe the thoughts that are in my head because God created me with free will. I can choose the thoughts that I think. And if I know that goodness is my natural nature, I'm going to be good to myself and release this low frequency thought by forgiving myself, and I'm not going to give it any attention. And when you don't give low frequency thoughts attention, they can't go anywhere. They cannot become form because you are not participating in the projection. You got to project it out there for it to become manifested. Once you decide, no, I'm not using my mind to project what I don't want to see in the world, then it doesn't show up. And here, this is so beautiful, knowing how powerful we are. It unites all wills on earth in heaven's plan to save the world, restoring it to heaven's peace. Once it becomes clear that we are powerful beyond measure, that we were created by a creator that is infinite, meaning it created us to extend infinity. It created us to uniquely, through each and every one of us, through our own perceptions, our own gifts, our own talents, we give them generously to others. No matter what it is, you give whatever you want to gift, your gifts, your talents, your muffins that you made, or money if you want to. And you extend it out into the world, you're extending the kingdom of heaven, because the frequency that you use in the kitchen, cooking the food that you prepare and you feed it to others, those high frequencies are then consumed by the people in your household, your children, your friends, your family, and then they go out into the world and they go see their other friends. They go visit or go connect with wherever they want to connect, and they take that high vibe out with them. You're participating in bringing heaven to earth. Now, it all begins with us. We have to be the change we want to see in the world. The world out there is giving us validation of what we believe is true, what we believe we deserve, what we believe is acceptable. We accepted that war was okay. We accepted that federal banks got to be the ones who decided, who made all the rules for money. We accepted that they lied and said that they were part of the government when they're really not. They're private corporations. We accepted not ever knowing who are these people who benefit from all that the taxpayers do. We accepted that the education system knows better for us. We accepted that the medical system knows better for our body than we have been even interested in finding out how to connect with our own internal knowingness. How did Jesus save? How did Jesus heal people? He wasn't a doctor. He didn't go to a doctor to get his healing powers. He raised people from the dead. Why? Because he was here to save the world by utilizing his God-given gifts and talents and knowingness to do things that are for the greater good of all. Health, well-being is for the greater good of all. Jesus just said, you are healed. Touch a leopard and they were healed. The dead. We don't need to be walking around, dead. Most of us walk around dead inside, but you don't have to have the death experience to know the truth of who you are. Jesus said, get up and walk, Lazarus, because Jesus was certain There is a certainty that we experience with total humility about the powers that have been given to us. But we're not using our superpowers because we are being trained by external powers to give our power away or to only hold a certain amount of power. We have the power to choose a doctor. Well, if you think about it, that we're trained to use our free will to pick doctors, why not train us into remembering that we have an internal doctor? And if we activate that inner doctor, do we need an outer doctor? No, we don't. But if we don't get trained through the education system, through all these hand-me-down beliefs that tell us that we can't heal ourselves, so we got to go to the doctor, and then we go to the doctor, then what does the doctor say? Well, you owe me a bunch of money. And then what happens with that money? We send it to the central banks. What happens with the central banks? It goes up to the people at the top that own it, that we don't even know who they are. So we have had systems that have been created perpetuating these stories that are not true, and they've been handed down generation after generation after generation. That era of handing down misinformation has put the world in hell. The era of remembering the truth of who we are is how we bring salvation to the world. We remember our truth. We unplug from the education system that trains us in hierarchies and giving our power away. We unplug from the system that says that our well-being is outside of us, and we come inside and become our own inner healer. We unplug from the system that says that our wealth is defined by external things. How much money do we have in these banks that don't really even have a reserve? So where is our money if it's not reserved? When you unplug from all those things and you come inside, and with humility, you realize, wow, I've been so powerful. I've been using my power because I have free will, we have liberty, giving away my power. That's what I've been doing. Who taught me that? My mom and dad taught me that. Who taught them that? Their mom and dad. Who taught them that? We'll trace it all the way back to the moment where we began to believe the serpent, where we began to believe the eagle, where we began to look at things other than how God created them, where we began this journey to descend from grace, the fall of grace, where we began to move little by little into the low frequency that has for thousands of years kept humanity in bondage. And when you're in bondage, you need somebody to save you. That's the way the ego operates. And then we look outside of ourselves. Will you save me? What do I need to do for you to save me? Well, you need to be my slave. Okay, just don't kill me. Let me be your slave. And we have thought that that was somehow okay. So we have been slaves to old systems that are crumbling, because God wants us to experience true salvation, because it's the only thing that's going to keep us safe. And how does that happen? You got to come inside. You've got to unplug from the outer world giving you anything that you need. You got to come inside and find that power within, because the kingdom of heaven is inside. How many more thousands of years do we need to keep looking outside of ourselves for our happiness when the happiness is inside? We got to find that kingdom. We've got to be willing to do whatever it takes to get to the kingdom. And it only takes a desire. It only takes a willingness to not believe the thoughts that want to pull us out into, oh, it's out there. It only, requires a simple acknowledgement, a humble acknowledgement of myself. I can do nothing. God, I am ready to hear the truth of who I am. Please reveal it to me. Help me see the blocks that I have created in my mind to the presence of the love that wants to express itself. Help me look at the beliefs that have me be manipulative and controlling others and has me believe that somebody knows better for me. Please help me find those thoughts. And when you sincerely, humbly get quiet, those thoughts are going to come into your conscious awareness, because as you live life, you're going to have irritations that are going to be invitations to see what irritated me about that. Well, that person didn't, they cut me off in traffic. Do I have to give up my serenity? Salvation of the world depends on me. Let me stop blaming that person for taking my peace, and let me use my peace in here to bless that person for helping me see that when I project externally what's happening internally, I don't own the truth of who I am. But when I project it and I have said to God with humility and sincerity, help me see where I lost my peace. Then that situation happens, triggers the awareness. You took my peace. Oh, wait a second. I just asked God to help me see how I lost my peace. I lose it in traffic. And then you realize, oh, I lose it at home too. You didn't clean up this thing. Oh, the dog sheds too much, and that takes my peace from me. Oh, projecting it on the dog that sheds too much. Well, can I just be at peace with the shedding? Sure, I can. Go wipe it up and it's gone. So when we waffle back and forth between the outside has our peace and the peace is inside of us, but we've made a commitment to be humble enough to say, God, I want to save the world, but it starts with me. I want to save myself from all of the ways that I activate my own discomfort, all of the ways that I lose my peace. But wait a second, you gave me life, liberty, and happiness. So I'm not feeling my happiness because I'm free. I have free will. I've got the liberty to choose to project or to accept what's going on and shift it inside of me. And I have eternal life. So if I don't get it figured out now, I'll get it figured out later. So let me not sweat the small stuff. Let me just forget about fears of death or things like that, because I'm eternal. So if I don't have fears of death, so what if somebody cuts me off in traffic? Okay, my peace stays with me, and till death, it goes with me. Even through death, it'll go with me. Okay, so peace is in here, and I have free will to say peace is there or peace is here. My happiness returns to me, returns to all of us when we realize, oh wow, that I'm really powerful. I have so much power. And the old ways, the old era is I was trained into that the outside had the power. The government, the medical system, the education system, religion, that all those institutions have the power. Wow. Wow. And as many are becoming students of the Constitution, specifically the United States, and we find out, wait a second, it says in those documents, in the Declaration of Independence, that if the government that I ask, that I choose to represent me, to make sure that all things are preserved, that our equality is honored, that all of the rights that have been given to us by God are honored, if they don't do what I want them to do, I have the right to abolish that and say, no, I don't want that. I want something different. I can abolish it or change it. Well, then why isn't my vote counting? What's going on with these elections? If we're choosing something, why do we have corruption in election? Why do we have cheating going on in elections? Oh, somebody externally is trying to preserve their power over me. It's like, what? All of this, how do we participate in the salvation of the world? Well, it depends on me coming inside, finding my power, finding my voice, and saying no to the old and co-creating the new with those who are like-minded. We are New Earth co-creators. There's no way around it. That is what we are. That is what we're here to do. Course in Miracles is just a training manual, helps train our mind to understand rightly. And when you understand rightly, you won't do wrongly. When you understand that you and God are one and God is good, there will be no evil if all you do is goodness. So the story of duality is only possible because we bought into the story of the serpent. It slithered into our mind. It worked its way and tempted us by eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge. And our ego was so tempted by, oh, this is so shiny. If I eat of knowledge and I become more knowledgeable, all the knowledge that the ego tempted us into taking a bite of made evil possible because it gave us evil as a choice. But God said, you're free. You're at liberty. You can be tempted and block love. And of course, that is what evil is a lack of love. But if you stay in the light, if you operate in the truth of who you are, there is no need for experiencing darkness. But we have liberty, so we can choose that darkness, and we can block the truth. We can block being loving and do unloving things. We can block being honest and go secretive and conniving. We can block total, complete transparency and become controlling and manipulative. We can do that. We can do that because we have liberty. But while we are exercising our liberty against God's will that we experience only love, God can't spare us from our choice to wreak havoc on the planet, wreak havoc upon ourselves, and participate in this low-vibing game of suffering. So the question before us is very simple. Do you want to see the world change into a high-vibing world of love, of collaboration, of cooperation? Well, then it depends on you. Are you going to claim your power as God gave it to you and use it as God intended in goodness? If you do that, the old won't even show up in your frequency. Though we are going through a bifurcation. We are seeing very clearly those who value freedom, those who value fear, those who value co-creation, those who value control, those who value that inner knowing about our goodness, our well-being, our healing coming from the inside, and those who want to control it from the outside. It's plain to see. Where do you go for your information? Outside of you? The news media? Do you come inside of you where God speaks to you? It's very clear to see. The salvation of the world depends on you. Do you want to save the world? Well, you can't go back and tell others to change their ways, because that's not loving. That's to tell the others you're wrong. You participate in the co-creation of the new, align with those who are like-minded, like-hearted. You connect and you shine your light so brightly. You operate in trust. You operate in generosity. You operate in goodness. And guess what happens? That amplifies. That light gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And you know what all these people, most of them want? The same thing. Then they will move to look for that if they desire it. But they have the liberty to stay there and operate in oppression, operate in corruption, operate in secrets and darkness, in evil deeds. But God's not going to punish them, because there's karma. And Course in Miracles made it really clear to me what karma is. It's cause and effect. If you're thinking low vibes, you're going to get low vibes back to help you see that you're low vibing. If you operate in high vibes, you're going to get high vibes back to show you what you are, what you believe is real, what you believe is true, what you're committed for. The world right now has a couple more years. I'm going to say 8 more years till 2030 to make a decision. Where are we going to be moving to? Because we are in a cyclical pattern, and the world operates in cycles, and we are at the completion of a cycle. If you study esoteric teachings, you can go and read. You can read about the teachings of the Mayans that told us about 2012. There are all kinds of places you can research this, but we're at the completion of a 26,000-year cycle that came to a close in 2012. But that cycle has a window of I forget the exact amount, but I believe it's 36 years, 18 years before 18 years on the other side. So 18 years before 2012, we were little by little preparing for 2012 to be the line where a cycle was completing, and we had another 18 years beyond that, from 2012 to 2030, to have 18 years to shift and lift into the new frequency. Those who have not made the choice for truth by 2030, are going to be locked into the frequency of the low vibe, and karma will allow them to experience that. If you believe in parallel realities, if you believe in other, planetary things, when you begin to expand your mind, you expand your mind and you go beyond all that it has been known. And you allow yourself to understand that we are just a tiny little speck in a very infinite universe. You will see that those who want to create the karma of control, they get to have their experience in a parallel world. But what we are doing is we are bifurcating. We are totally, completely going to have experiences of the new. Now, it doesn't mean that these people are like going to disappear. I don't think that they will. It's just that they are going to be living in their own little bubble. And we're seeing it with especially here in the United States. We're seeing it in other countries that want to live in oppression. Well, they get to have that if they want that, because they're powerful creators with free will. Those who want to live in expansion, well, we get to have that too. And you're seeing in the states, in the United States, that are either red or blue or more conservative or more liberal, there is a natural bifurcation happening because the wheat is separating from the chaff. It has to be that way, cause and effect. Course in Miracles is helping us train our minds so we can be more clear about the choices that we're making, so we can make our choices with our eyes wide open. That's why the salvation of the world depends on you, because you're the one who participated in the making of the old ego world. You're the one who gets to participate in the co-creation of a new earth. Which one are you choosing? Totally up to you. And with that, we complete today's transmission. I am so grateful when these things flow through me. It's just so exciting to share the amazing teachings, the amazing depths of A Course in Miracles that come to me through my ability to allow God to have its way through me. And I can feel my sinuses are getting congested. So with that, I am not going to invite anybody to share and speak because I got to go. I can feel the sneezes coming. Thank you so much for being here with me. I so appreciate you. I'm so grateful that you're a part of these transmissions. And if you enjoyed this, please share it with others. We do this every Wednesday, just about every Wednesday. By traveling last week, I didn't do it, but just about every Wednesday. It's called Ascension with A Course in Miracles. Take these teachings and ascend your awareness of the truth. Take it to a higher frequency, to a higher level of knowledge. At the end of the day, we're all pure consciousness, choosing to have these experiences. Nobody's doing it wrong. There's no possible way anybody can do it wrong. We have free will. We're all part of God having experiences, playing with all the different costumes that we can play with, be they the evil costumes or the good costumes. It doesn't matter. What matters is that each of us remember the truth of who we are so that we can willingly make a choice for love over fear, for truth over lies, for transparency over secrecy. Because corruption, deception, all the ego low vibrations only appear in secrecy. That which is light is getting brighter, brighter, brighter. That's why we see more of that which was darker. It's always been there. But as more of us shine our light, more of us will move into the co-creation of a new earth. Are you with me? I hope so. If you're watching this, you must be. Thanks a bunch. And I look forward to our next call, next Zoom, next Wednesday. Always, these are free for you. So find the links on my social media, my emails, and my YouTube, wherever you want to find it, it's there. Love you all very much. Bye-bye.